scripture reading comes from Matthew chapter 5, verses 17 to 20. The fulfillment of the law. Do you think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets? I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter, not the least stroke of a pen will by any means disappear from the law until everything is accomplished. Therefore, anyone who sets aside one of the least of these commands and teaches others accordingly will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever practices and teaches these commands will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the teacher of the law, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven. Lord, grant this word to us as we speak about these things, and grant us understanding as we talk through this. Because it's a hard thing when we talk about, living the law and stuff like that. Because, all of us follow the law, right? Right? We do, don't we? All follow the law, right? As you drive down the road, right? You'll probably see all the speed limit signs there, one after the other. What's the penalty for going over the speed limit? Do you know? I looked it up. Yeah, over 9 kilometres, $100, 0 demerit points. More than 9 kilometres, but not more than 19, is $200, 2 demerit points. More than 19, but no more than 29, is $400 and 3 demerit points. More than 29, but not more than 40, is $806 demerit points, and more than 40 is $1,200 and 7 demerit points. Yeah, so you're allowed 12, I think. But that's not it. There's more laws than that. Even more laws when it comes to road rules. Like wearing a seatbelt, have to wear a seatbelt, keep safe. Using a mobile phone, that's a big one. They use a mobile phone. I was watching a show last night. There was Surveillance Oz or something like that. And there's this guy, the motorbike policeman pulled up alongside, and he's there talking on his phone. And you hear the commentator from the police, he said, he doesn't even know I'm here. He's knocking on the door. The bloke looked at him, got the fright of his life. He couldn't dispute it though. Failing to give way, that's another one. And stopping at a stop sign, even hooning. You muck around in your car, you can get in trouble. So there's lots of laws for driving. And we should know them all. Shouldn't we? Not knowing the law is no excuse. No. Have you ever been pulled over and then asked, what is your reason for speeding today, sir? And given really a lame reason and been let off? Have you? I got let off once. Yeah. It was late at night and we had a music shop and the alarm had gone off and I was racing down there to find out what was going on. Police pulled me over. And it's just, the alarm's going out. So they followed me down and out the shop. So, yes?
I got stopped for going too slow.
Yes,
by the cops.
Yes. My husband was stopped for that too.
Is there a penalty for that?
I had engine trouble and they said, I can't go fast. So they said, put your blinkers on, follow through. They stopped me. Too slow.
Because there is a penalty for that, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah.
My husband was in Melbourne and didn't know where he was going, and he's going slow. And they pulled him over and said, you're going too slow. We didn't want to miss a turn off.
Yeah, if you do that there, you're in big trouble. You've got to keep going down the highway.
Can't win.
The laws are instituted by authorities, and it's the job of the police to enforce those laws, right? We all know the laws, don't we? But because it is very hard to convince a police officer of our ignorance, or even then, ignorance of the law is no excuse, so they say. That's what I tell you. So we're required to know the law, so we're required to learn it. Even when they bring in new ones, we've got to. It's up to us. It's not up to them. We're probably if we don't know the law, one of the ones I see is the roundabouts. You know, you have to actually indicate out of the roundabout when you're in there. Yeah, so no matter if you're going straight ahead or left or right, you've got to indicate such, you know, as you go out. So even if you're turning right, you've got to have the right one. Even left, you've got to do the same and indicate out. And let people know what you're doing, apparently. But no one is perfect.
Oh.
We all make mistakes. And how do we feel, you know, when you hear about the police officers and government officials or so-called teachers of the law? It's called breaking the law, hey? I make front page of the paper usually. But they make mistakes too, I suppose. We feel let down and betrayed because they expect us to obey the law, but they don't have to. They're accused of being beyond the law. One rule for us and another rule for them. It's not fair. Why do we have road rules in place anyway if they're going to do that? It's to keep ourselves and other road users safe. That's what they say. They advertise that. We actually need rules. Otherwise it would be bedlam out there. Have you ever been in some of the really busy cities in the world? And have you tried to drive and negotiate in the masses of traffic? It's incredible. Apparently, stop signs are just an indication that probably it should stop or something, that everyone moves. And there's still rules, you know. There are rules. One of them is don't drive in front of a truck. Or get in the way of a bus. Because you're likely to get squished, so you keep out of that. The rules are probably not really enforced as tightly, but the consequences of doing the wrong things can be deadly. Think quick, learn how to operate your horn. As I said before, do we really need laws to keep ourselves safe? Apparently we do. And if not ourselves, then others, to keep us safe from them and them from us. Rules are there to protect us, right? And from the looks of it, those rules are needed. Otherwise, there would be carnage on our roads and in our lives. That's what they tell us. So rules are needed, very important, to keep us all safe in our communities where we live. Sometimes we don't like it, but there it is. Now, our text today has Jesus speaking about the law and how it is needed and how nothing in the law will be changed. We are to obey the law and not try to change or ignore it or even encourage others to ignore it. Jesus didn't come to abolish or change the law, but he came to fulfill it. Jesus had a whole completely different attitude to the law than the people of his day. And he encourages us to do the same. Not only obey the law, but he fulfilled it. He was the whole reason for the law. Imagine if there was no law and everyone could do what they liked. People would exploit others. The strong and powerful could do what they liked and there would be no freedom at all. It's bad enough today from people with power, but just imagine what would happen if there were no laws that could constrain them. We would have no freedom at all. We would be held under the yoke of whoever was the strongest and the most powerful. I know it's bad enough today, but just imagine if gangs were all fighting for control and we would all have to do what they wanted. Rules protect us, but it's not a perfect system. People to this day still exploit their positions, and Jesus says that if our righteousness does not surpass theirs, then we won't enter the kingdom of heaven. Jesus didn't need rules. And as Christians, we don't need rules either, because there is a better way. If we love others as we love ourselves, like Jesus asked, we would all be doing our very best to protect others and keep them safe. We would not speed in case we made a mistake and cause an accident. We would not exploit others or try to rip them off. Jesus gives us an example of this. And he showed us what it all looks like in the next paragraph. You have heard that it was said to the people long ago, you shall not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. But I tell you that if anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment. Don't even think about it. Don't have any hate for anyone in your heart. Simply love others. Jesus is talking about a whole new way of living and doing things. The law is not needed when you are doing everything right. If we are righteous, that's being right, then we don't need the law anymore, because obeying the law would be something we did naturally. When we place the needs of others above ourselves, then we have their best interests at heart. We would not murder them. We would not even be thinking about it. So the law would be fulfilled. Jesus carried no hate for anyone in his heart, and neither should we. Only love. Did Jesus hate sin, I wonder? Absolutely he did. And so should we. But we should also hate everything that is not righteous. In Luke chapter 14, verse 26, he said, if anyone comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple. Now this sounds like a bit of a contradiction, doesn't it? When, we've got to love others, but then why does he say to hate father and mother and brother and sister and things? Jesus is asking us first to follow him. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the most important commandment. And this is our salvation. This is to be our first and our only priority. First we do this, and then we can be his disciple. And secondly, we love our neighbour as ourselves. That's what Jesus said. The first is this. The second is just as important as the next one. Love our neighbour as ourselves. Not first love everybody, because our good works can't save us. That's human things to do. Can we judge sin and pretend that we are more righteous? No, we're not righteous at all. Unless we first love God with everything that we have and are. All the righteousness that is in us is from our own good works and amounts to nothing unless we are the ones that are teaching and practicing the ways of righteousness and surpassing the righteousness of the law that teaches and gives us. We will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven. Sobering thought. If we want to enter the kingdom of heaven, we have to be righteous, and the only way we can be righteous is loving God first. Follow the way of Jesus, and walking in his footsteps is the only way of being righteous. Anything else that we do or say or believe is about others is wrong, even if it comes from a good place, because it is not from God, that it is sin. Sin is a separation from God. Anything apart from God is sin. Anything that comes from ourselves is good works, and that's sin. But if the good works we do comes from God and brings glory to him, then we are righteous. When God is in our thoughts, words and deeds, then we are righteous, and our righteousness has surpassed the righteousness of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law. When we turn our face towards Jesus, then the things of this world will grow strangely dim. Sounds like a song, doesn't it? So let's sing that song together and make it our prayer today. as we step away from the lives that we live into our new lives with God, growing ever closer to Him and moving forever further away from our own lives of sin. Let's sing that song together.